Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. 3,354, or is it 24 children already murdered? How many? How many is it going to take for Israel to feel safe again? Huh? How many kids do you have to murder? Because you're over 3,000. When are you like, oh, we got it. We did it. We killed enough children to make this all make sense. Totally insane, totally disgusting to watch this genocide. We're watching real-time genocide unfold, and much of the world is endorsing it, like the United States, most importantly, endorsing this killing, endorsing this genocide. Today, I'm bringing you more information on the fact that Netanyahu and his ilk have been planning this for years. That is not to say that they planned the Hamas attack, but I have brought you evidence over the past couple of weeks showing that they almost definitely knew something was going to happen. But instead, I mean that they planned to do this, and they were waiting for the right moment, and they've planned to do this ethnic cleansing. Now, they've been doing it in kind of slow motion for a while now in terms of increasing the settlements, cutting off the water to Gaza, and so much more. But they've been planning. I'll bring you more evidence that they've been planning this. They also, I brought you documentation and proof and WikiLeaks documents in the past several live streams showing that they helped build up Hamas. Netanyahu and the far right wing of the Israeli politicians, they helped build up Hamas because they knew it would allow for them to, or it would give them cover for these incredible atrocities that they're committing right now. But let's begin with, and so this is from WikiLeaks. I did bring you this fact a couple of days ago, but I have more beyond this. But I want to bring you WikiLeaks analysis of this. WikiLeaks says, a week after the Hamas attack, Israel's Ministry of Intelligence issued a secret 10-page document outlining the expulsion of the Palestinian population of Gaza to northern Sinai in Egypt. Expulsion, meaning murdering and pushing out every last Gazan. Number one, instruct Palestinian civilians to vacate North Gaza ahead of land operations. Number two, sequential land operations from north to south Gaza. Number three, routes across Rafah to be left clear. Number four, establish tent cities in northern Sinai and construct cities to resettle Palestinians in Egypt. Now, if there's anyone who is clueless enough to think, well, that's okay, so they need to leave and they go to a tent city, at least they'll be alive. And you wouldn't be saying that if you were being kicked out of your home. And they have made much of Gaza their home after their family members, many of them, their fathers and grandfathers were forced out of their land before 1948 and thereafter. So it's just an endless land grab, endless manifest destiny. We are better than you, therefore we will steal your land. And Israel's doing it again. But of course, now it is mixed with a full-on genocide of these people, killing thousands. I believe it's over 7. I believe we might be nearing 8,000. It's tough to even keep up with the numbers, but over 3,000. At least 3,500 by now, because the number I gave you at the beginning of this show, 3,350 or whatever, was several hours ago. So I'm sure it's over 3,500 by now of children murdered by Israel. To continue from WikiLeaks, the document has been verified by an official from the Ministry of Intelligence, according to the Hebrew website Makobit, which originally published the document. They noted that documents from the Ministry of Intelligence are advisory and not binding. So this isn't a binding plan, but it is a plan to continue to force all Gazans out of Gaza as they continue the genocide. And that's what it should be called. And I'm going to bring you also during this hour, I'm going to bring you some of the ways that our mainstream media, our lovely, amazing, always legit mainstream media avoids saying genocide. All the ways they avoid calling this what it is. All the ways they avoid saying Israel is creating. You can even lighten it from genocide to massacre if you'd like. But whereas they call it, you'll notice Hamas slaughters people, but Israel doesn't slaughter people. No. Hamas slaughters, Israel defends itself. It's just a Orwellian shit show is what it is. But so that's from WikiLeaks. And of course, that's why Julian Assange is in prison right now, is because WikiLeaks reveals stuff like that. I mean, that one was not originally revealed by them, but there are many things coming out right now. I don't think I have any more in this hour, but I've had them in past recent live streams from WikiLeaks showing the truth about how Israel operates and what Israel wants and what they're doing now. And that's why Julian Assange is being tortured in prison right now, and the United States is hoping to extradite him any day, is because we're still, to this day, even though WikiLeaks has not really put out anything in years, we're still getting the most useful information about our government, about Israel, about governments around the world from old WikiLeaks cables. That's how important WikiLeaks was and is. And that's why Julian Assange continues to be tortured by the United States. But all right, I want to bring you, this is video of Netanyahu, just a few days, this was, what, November 26th or something? Just a few days before the Hamas attack, just a few days before this portion of the Israeli genocide began. Just a few scant days before, Netanyahu was in front of the UN showing a map of the Middle East where he had completely purged Palestine and Palestinians from the world. So this will just take a second. Now, he's talking about like economic opportunities and stuff, but he holds up a map where you can clearly see
the whole Middle East changed.
Sorry, you can clearly see that he has created a map with no Palestine and no Palestinians. And for those of you listening to the podcast, he's holding up a map of the Middle East with Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Egypt, and some other countries in green, Jordan in green, Israel in blue, and there is no Palestine. It doesn't exist. There is no West Bank. There is no Gaza.
Whole Middle East changes. We tear down the walls of enmity. We bring the possibility of prosperity and peace to this entire region, but we do something else. You know, a few years ago, I stood here with a red marker to show the curse, a great curse, the curse of a nuclear Iran.
For those of you, most of you probably remember this. I hadn't planned to show you this, but now I realize I have to show you this. Most of you remember this. Netanyahu got up in front of the UN and several years ago and held up a Wile E. Coyote image of a bomb. I'm not kidding, like the little cannonball with the fuse on it, and drew a red line where he said Iran was at creating their Wile E. Coyote bomb. He took a big red marker. This is him in front of the UN with his Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote bomb. Drew a red line where he said Iran was, in terms of, now his point is getting a nuclear bomb. This is how close he says Iran is to getting a nuclear bomb. It's about to happen. It's going to happen. Iran's going to get a nuclear bomb, and that's proven by this Wile E. Coyote drawing I made. Which is just, this is an insane person. This is, you look at this, it's just utterly insane human being. So he did that. Now, of course, that did not happen because all of that was bullcrap designed to allow for an invasion and economic war against Iran. The economic war has happened, causing a lot of hardship in Iran. And it's to turn the world against Iran. And of course, that's all in the interest of Israel and the United States. So Netanyahu did that, and the U.S. does it too. The whole, they're going to get the bomb. Look at this red line I just drew right here. But you'll notice Iran does not have a nuclear bomb. And Iran is not trying to get a nuclear bomb. That's never been their aim, but it's useful in order to allow for economic war, etc. So, if anything, Netanyahu's moment where he did that, where he drew the red line several years ago, proves that he's an idiot and that he's wrong because he was wrong about it. Now, you'd think he wouldn't want to mention that moment again. You'd think he wouldn't want to mention the moment he said, "Hey, everybody, they're getting a nuclear bomb," and then they didn't, because it seems kind of WMD-ish. Oh my God, they're going to hurt us, and then they don't. So you'd think he would never want to bring that stuff up again. And instead, here he is bringing it up again.
But today I bring this marker to show a great blessing, the blessing of a new Middle East between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and our other neighbors. We will not only bring down barriers between Israel and our neighbors, we'll build a new corridor of peace and prosperity that connects Asia through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, to Europe.
So he draws a big red line across the whole thing, but you'll notice that what he threw in there, tear down the barriers. This is the guy in the country that have built massive barriers, massive fences and walls to stop Gazans from being able to escape, to make sure they remain in an open air prison, even though that's not a border. Gaza, that's not supposed to be a border, because Gaza and Palestine are not have not been given state status, national status. So it's not a national border. So they built a wall and a fence in order to cage them in, and they're now killing as many as they can. Like I said, well over 3,000 children alone. By the way, Gaza is 50% children. It's 50% under 18. So you have an area, a tiny area of the world. And the other thing I'm going to get to in this hour, couple of important things I'm going to get to in this hour, some history of Gaza and the reality there that our mainstream media doesn't cover. But also, Ralph Nader has a great 10 questions that should be posed by our media that, of course, will never be posed. Anyway, those side notes. He talks about tearing down barriers. This is the country and the man who have created a massive barrier in order to wall off Gazans from the world, in order to keep Palestinians in open air prison, where they aren't allowed to have things like clean water, 24-hour electricity, much of the gas and medicine they can't get in. Anyway, so I wanted to bring this to you as a point that he held up a map where Gaza was eliminated 2 weeks before the Hamas attack. And now he and his military are basically wiping Gaza off the map in many ways. And I mean, that's the thing. Your mainstream media is not telling you that they're not even being quiet about a lot of this. It's not even a secret, a lot of it. Like, they call many of the upper echelon of Israel's government has used terms like animals and savages to describe all Gaza. They're not talking about Hamas. They're talking about all Gazans, meaning the children, the women, the men who have nothing to do with it, like the old people, the old men. They're all just, and the reason you use that type of terminology, other than being racist, it's of course racist, but other than being racist, is so you can justify ethnic cleansing and genocide. That is the reason that you would do something like that. It's and those similar terms, they've been used through the years, obviously, right? To allow for slavery in the United States, to allow for the Holocaust. Hitler used terms like that to allow for the atomic bomb dropping on Japan. Japanese were also were depicted in posters and things as bugs and animals and things like that, so that your average American would think that, yeah, you might have killed some innocent people with those bombs that were larger than anyone had ever seen, and it killed 100,000 people instantly. You might have killed some innocent people, but they weren't real people anyway. That is always the argument of ethnic cleansing. They're not real people anyway. They're not, and of course, in terms of savages and those kind of terminology, I didn't even mention the Native Americans, obviously, to allow that genocide to go on. And so they're like I said, they're not even hiding this stuff. And yet your mainstream media will say Israel has a right to defend itself. Yeah, Israel's using some of that propaganda terminology, but they're also using a lot of the other stuff. I played a clip for you the other day of I believe it was their it was one of the higher ups in the government. I can't remember the exact position, but saying that all Gazans would be bombing all Gazans until Hamas came out and surrendered. And that's called collective punishment, and it's illegal under international law. Absolutely illegal. 100% illegal war crimes. And he said it on live television. That's what we're doing. You also have the former president of Israel saying that fair and balanced media sides with Palestinians. Basically, he was trying to tell the media to stop being so fair and balanced because he wants it to be heavily for Israel. However, he was admitting that real, true, unbiased media leaves the viewer siding with Palestinians. And I think at the moment when he said it, he didn't realize how much he was admitting to, but he did. And here's more proof that this is in the open. This is not even a secret that they are ethnically cleansing and that they are trying to take over the entirety of Gaza, the entirety of the West Bank and other areas. Netanyahu's holding up maps saying, here it is. No more Palestinians. Maps in front of the UN. But here's more evidence. This was posted by Naomi Klein. She's obviously with The Intercept, but she's put out many best-selling books. And this is video of it's a Palestinian community that I will absolutely pronounce wrong. Anizan, even though I used to know some Hebrew, but it's quite since Palestinian community, I'm assuming it's not Hebrew. But anyway, this is video of them packing up and leaving in South Hebron because they've been told to. They generally, when the settlers come in and kick out Palestinians, they generally, give them a warning so that they're hoping they won't even have to fight anyone. They won't even have to arrest anyone for nothing. They can just go in and take the land. So I'm assuming these people got a warning that they had to leave or they would be arrested or killed. And here is video. And this is like today or yesterday. This is them fleeing their community because they've been told. And this is not in Gaza. So this is Israel continuing their ethnic cleansing in other areas, in West Bank. But this is them. Let me read the actual thing. Yet another Palestinian community is being forcefully transferred from their lands as results of settler violence. 35 residents are packing up their belongings and leaving their lands as we speak.
This is how forcible transfer looks like. Intimidated by settler terrorism, the inhabitants are packing up their belongings and leaving their land.
So Israel is using this as an opportunity. And I've brought you a lot of evidence showing that Israel to some degree allowed the Hamas attack to happen. They clearly have something called the Hannibal Directive, where if a hostage is taken, they just kill the hostage and kill everyone around the hostage as well. So the evidence continues to come out that they bombed many of the kibbutzes or hit them with tank shells that had hostages in them, killing everyone, including Hamas, but including the hostages, including other innocent people around. Now, this is not to say Hamas didn't do anything or Hamas didn't kill anyone. I'm sure they did, and I'm opposed to the killing of all innocent civilians. But Israel is using this right now to do perpetrate a full-on genocide, and it's just breathtakingly horrific. And you want to say the world is watching, you want to say the world is standing against it, and many are. And I've brought you videos of the hundreds of thousands. I mean, if you total it around the world, it's millions in protest around the world. Massive ones this past weekend in London, in New York City, The huge ones coming up this Saturday. I'm going to be at one in DC. For those of you who can get to DC, it seems like it's going to be huge because I've been hearing about it in many different ways, many different people. So I think it will be pretty massive. That's November 4th in DC. I'll try and talk more about that in a bit. But and so you want to say the world is watching, and in many ways they are, but also so many people are in their filter bubbles and they just watch CNN and they just think that's the reality. They just read the New York Times. And so, sure, they might catch an article here or there about how tough Gazan children have it or something like that. But that's not enough to manufacture or not even manufacture, just bring the truth to people so that they actually stand up for what is right. Generally speaking, you show enough videos of children being bombed and they will fight against it. But our mainstream media is doing everything they can to try and justify this and allow it. And it's, it's tough to find the right words for how horrific this is. And, I always try and add this in pretty much every episode for those of you who are new to my stuff. If it matters to you, I'm Jewish. I'm also American. I've been to Israel a couple of times, but that doesn't change the reality. And if you have a moral core and you get outside of the propaganda from the mainstream media, you will be saying the same thing I am. There are so many people around the world that get it, but okay. So in a second here, though, I'm going to bring you some important information about Gaza that a lot of people don't know. Even now, even after so much coverage, this part is hidden. I'm also going to bring you, well, actually, I'll do that right now in just a second. I'll bring you how our media, the words they use to avoid saying genocide, to avoid saying massacre, to avoid saying slaughter by Israel is pretty impressive. But I thought I'd bring you this amazing art. I mean, although it's horrifying, but it's also amazing. It's the Twitter account. He sent them to me, and I think he's just excellent at what he does. But his Twitter account is Zed Trafficker. So if you want to find these, look up Zed Trafficker. But he created this imagery of this is Netanyahu in a pile of skulls and bones on the cover of Time. And, that's what our media would look like if it were legit, if it were accurate. And then I just want to bring you one other of his. This is pretty awesome. Reminds me of like Banksy or something. But it's for those of you listening to the podcast, which if you like podcasts, it's called The Leecamp Show. You can listen to the podcast. But this image is of one half of the McDonald's arch showing a missile landing in Gaza and has the slogan, "I'm not buying it." And it brings to mind the how we were told to believe that Gazans had bombed their own hospital in a way that they don't even have the capability, and in a hospital that had been told to evacuate by Israel before it was bombed. So basically, the hospital was told to evacuate, then it gets bombed, then Israel said it wasn't us, which is hilarious. And this also is not the first time that Israel bombed hospitals in Gaza. They bombed something like a dozen hospitals in Gaza. That's not even counting medical clinics. That's just hospitals. So they're well known for committing these kind of war crimes. And anyway, I also love that it's the McDonald's arch because McDonald's is one of the biggest quote unquote supporters of Israel, which is to say supporters of genocide. Here, thank you for the donation, Alex. He says, how many 9/11s have the Palestinians suffered? I've not seen these maths done at all after the IDF bombing. Yeah, I know. Americans, because 9/11 was such a cultural wound for us, we like to measure things in the amount of 9/11 death that has happened. And so let's see, if we have 8,000 already dead in Gaza since October 7th, that would be 2.5 9/11s have already been committed by Israel. And, that's not counting the deaths before. That's not counting all of the thousands of Gazans who've died from unclean water or died from not having the medical supplies they need. I often give you this fact that things like breast cancer, which are very survivable in America, in Europe, something like 80, 90% of those who get breast cancer survive. In Gaza, it's like 30, 40%, 30%, something like that survive breast cancer because they don't have the ability, the medical abilities to fight things that we can now survive. So those should count as deaths perpetrated by Israel. But of course they don't. They don't go down on the list. The only thing that goes down on the list is the people they actively bomb. But okay, I want to bring you, and please take a second, by the way, to share this with people and click subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube or on Rumble, please click subscribe or follow. It's free to do that. And then click the bell icon. And then you'll be alerted to my videos. Completely free to do all that. Subscribe, bell icon. Please do that. We're trying to get up to 70,000 followers on Rumble. In a few minutes, I'm gonna go a little longer, but in a few minutes, this will be at rumble.com/leecamp for free. Also on my locals page, leecamp.net. You can get it there, or leecamp.com is my other website. But anyway, okay, so this is I wanted to bring you a bunch of headlines from various media outlets, various mainstream media outlets. And so this is, let's see, we're starting off with, is this New York Times? I think I did New York Times first. So I believe this is New York Times. Israel's air and ground forces put more pressure on Gaza. Now imagine if this were during, say, World War II and you heard Hitler puts more pressure on the Jewish community. Like, we're witnessing, the world is witnessing ethnic cleansing, witnessing genocide, witnessing the wide-scale murder of children and women and innocent people, elderly, those who are invalid or have other problems, and yet this is called pressure on Gaza. What a hell of a goddamn euphemism that is. Israel's air and ground forces put more pressure on Gaza. It's, and here's a way. It's a way for New York Times to act like they're giving you the truth, to act like they're giving you the news, to act like they're giving you updates to what is going on in Gaza without saying genocide, without saying a massacre. These are people without water, without electricity, without a way to fight back. Yeah, there are some Gaza fighters, but there's also a shit ton of people that don't have big guns and things to fight back with. And they're just kids, and they're just people with, holding a rock. And are they really gonna take on the IDF's bombs? It's insanity. But this is how they say pressure on Gaza, put more pressure on Gaza rather than calling this a genocide. Let's get another one here. This is more from New York Times. Israel's military appears to be approaching Gaza City from at least 3 sides, imagery shows. You notice the words you don't hear there. You don't hear genocide. You don't hear massacre. You don't hear slaughter. You don't hear war crimes. It also gives you the impression that this is somehow some sort of fair war that's going on. Oh, the 2 sides of this war. No, this is an obliteration. And Israel's just flattening the entire area. They're also telling people to flee to areas that are then bombed. So there's that too. But thank you, Omar, for the donation. He says that the October 7th concert story is a lie. I haven't read that much on the concert story. I do know that, and I've covered on this show, that a lot of the death and destruction that was caused on October 7th was caused by the IDF. Now, it's fine if you want to sit there and argue, well, that was what they had to do. It was the only way to respond. Okay, have that argument, but we're not even being given the truth about what happened in any regard. Anyway, to go back to this, this is another one from the New York Times that makes this seem like some sort of fair, even-sided war. Israel's military does this. It's like, you're talking about killing children. Like, say that. Here's CNN. Israel expands Gaza operation. Wow. That sounds so nice, doesn't it? No, that doesn't sound like there's murder at all. It's a Gaza operation. It almost sounds like a surgery to help Gaza, right? It's a little surgery to make Gaza a better place. Israel expands Gaza operation, sending more ground troops into enclave. Again, words you aren't hearing in this title. Murder, death, destruction perpetrated by Israel, genocide, ethnic cleansing, settler terrorism. None of those words in here. Just Israel expands their Gaza operation. It's like it is. It's a nice little surgery to make Gaza a better place. I mean, I don't even what kind of boardroom meetings do they have where they sit around and be like, "What's a word? What word can we use in place of massacre that will feel nice?" Israel continues the evolution of Gaza. Israel is helping Gaza evolve to a thing that's not Gaza. I mean, these people are like, even these journalists are sociopaths. Crisis in Gaza. This is from, is this Washington Post? Oh no, this is more CNN. Crisis in Gaza as Israel warns of long war with Hamas. Crisis in Gaza is another one. Oh really? You notice they leave out who caused it. Like who is actually bombing Gaza right now? Because I don't know. It's tough to say. There was just a crisis in Gaza as Israel warns of long war with Hamas, but they're not battling Hamas right now, right? Yeah, sure, some Hamas are dying in these bombings, but really they're battling the entire population of Gaza. This is a war on the population of Gaza. This is not just a war on Hamas. They're not going door to door, but finding Hamas fight. They're bombing entire apartment buildings, killing everyone inside. Crisis in Gaza. That's another one. That's a beautiful euphemism, right? It's not an obliteration, a mass murder. It's not a Jeffrey Dahmer with missiles type scenario. It's a crisis. It's just a crisis. These are all euphemisms. More from CNN. More children killed in Gaza. Okay, so this is actually, I wanted to bring this one specifically because it actually is telling you about the children killed in Gaza. I didn't want to leave this one out because it tells you about the children killed in Gaza. However, we'll see how even that they manage to whitewash. More children killed in Gaza than in global conflicts annually over past 4 years, Save the Children reports. Okay, so more children killed in Gaza. Well, this is horrific, and I'm glad they at least did a story on it. But you'll notice, who was it that killed the children in Gaza? In that title, who killed the children in Gaza? Because I can't tell. I don't. Was it heart attacks? Did they inhale rubble dust, or did they get dusty lung, or was it bad hummus? What happened to the children in Gaza? More children killed in Gaza. They never say Israel kills more children in Gaza than in global. Israel slaughters more children in Gaza than all of the global conflicts over the past 4 years. Israel has already, in 3 weeks of mass murder, killed more kids in Gaza than all global conflicts annually over the past 4 years. But they don't say Israel in that in that opening sentence. And in fact, if you continue to read, so here's the opening paragraph: the number of children reported killed in Gaza during Israel's military campaign. So now at least they've told you the country that's connected to it. But this is not how they would report. This is not how they reported the Hamas attack. It was not Israelis, 1,000 Israelis killed during Hamas's operation, was it? They didn't report it. Israelis killed, more Israelis killed during Hamas's attack. No, sorry, campaign. This one says campaign. So more people killed in Israel during Hamas's campaign. No, it was Hamas fighters or Hamas murdered or killed this many Israelis. You see the difference? And it is, I know some of you may be going, oh, you're parsing straws, hairs. What's the expression? But it makes a massive difference. It makes a massive difference to how we process these things, how we take them in. And if we read two articles, if all someone reads is two articles, and they read one about Hamas's attack and one about what's going on with Israel's bombing right now, and the Hamas attack says Hamas murdered Israelis, and the other one says more children have been killed during Israel's campaign. One of them is intentional. The other one leaves the room, space, meaning leaves the space for you to think it's not intentional. Israel's trying to do their best. They're trying to take on Hamas, and they're doing their damnedest. But then kids just get killed somehow. There is a key psychological difference between the way these things are phrased. And this is why I wanted to bring you the one article that actually does talk about kids dying in Gaza, being murdered in Gaza by Israel. I wanted to bring you that specific article because this is when they're doing better. They're still playing this psychological trick on all of us. That's your mainstream media for you. Even when they're doing a better job covering the children murdered in Gaza, even then, they are still flipping the script so that we're left with the idea maybe Israel didn't mean to. Israel's military campaign over the past 3 weeks has surpassed the annual number of children killed in armed conflict globally. In each last period, more than 3,000 children, and by the way, it's at least 3,500 now, have been reported killed in Gaza. Yeah, so again, they do it. Have been reported killed. Not Israel's murdered. Have been reported killed. Now they've even backed you off a second degree from where they were. Because at first it was kids have been killed. Now it was reported to have been killed during Israel's campaign. No, they actually, in this sentence, they don't say Israel's campaign. So now, okay. So at first it's just have been killed. Who knows? Not intentional. Maybe we don't know. It just happened. That kind of thing. Now they've backed us off another degree. It's reported have been killed. Israel not mentioned. Unbelievable. It's just the creativity involved in so many euphemisms. Here's another one from CNN. Israeli troops advance in Gaza. Boy, that sounds pretty nice, right? Advance. These are positive terms. They advanced. There's advancement. They're murdering children and innocent people left and right. And that's advancement. You notice advance is a positive word. Generally, when someone says something advances, they view something as positive, right? This is ethnic cleansing, and CNN is calling it advancement. Israeli troops advance in Gaza. Impossible, quote unquote, hospital evacuation and regional warnings. So again, this is them doing a slight bit of a better job in that at least they're telling you that these hospitals are being told to evacuate because they're likely to be bombed. But if they're reporting to us that Israel is warning hospitals to clear out because they're going to be bombed, then the real story is Israel is telling you they're going to commit war crimes. Israel is alerting the world we're about to commit war crimes, and they've proven they'll do it again and again. So that's the real story. That's called burying the lead. CNN, this headline should be Israel alerts world to war crimes about to be committed. Of course, they've already done it over and over and over again. So I don't know. They want to read that article. They just go, oh, more war crimes by Israel. But this, again, is possible hospital evacuation. By who? What do you mean? Oh, but the Israeli troops advanced. They're doing well. They advanced. Now, Fox News is just above and beyond. Fox News is, good God. So the first one I came across of theirs was titled Win Against Terror. So basically, as Israel murders children, it's called a win against terror. I bet you guys didn't know that, but these children are terrorists simply by being alive. They are just, by being alive, being born where they were born, they are by definition terrorists. That's what Fox News is telling you. The title under that, under Win Against Terror, is Israel eliminates senior Hamas commanders as troops pull off daring raids. Okay, so now Fox News is trying to make us think Israeli troops are superheroes. They're only killing Hamas, you'll notice. No one innocent died, apparently, in this headline. Israel eliminates senior Hamas commanders. It doesn't say Israel eliminates senior Hamas commanders while killing loads of children, while surrounding themselves in epic piles of bodies. So this is about as garbage as you can get. I mean, you might as well be the Israeli government posting this shit. Here's another one, Fox News. Israeli military pushes deeper into Gaza as IDF targets Hamas anti-tank and rocket positions. And the other thing Fox News does is they want you to think that this is a video game. They do this with all the U.S. wars. They want you to think this is kind of a fun video game we're playing, right? They did this with Iraq when we invaded Iraq. Israeli commandos push farther in. It is just a completely fake view. Ask even military troops who are over there and still are proud of their service. They'll tell you it ain't no fucking video game. They'll tell you it ain't at all. They'll tell you that it's horrific. Those are the ones that are proud of what they did. And they shouldn't be. But Fox News gives you this gamification of life that they're going to get the IDF targets Hamas. And it's just, honestly, it's like a PR firm. Okay, and I think, is this the last one I have? Yeah. Washington Post. Israeli tanks penetrate. You notice how much they want you to, they want it to sound like sex. The last one was pushes deeper. Fox News tells you Israeli troops are pushing deeper. And then Washington Post tells you Israeli tanks penetrate deep into Gaza. These are designed to, I mean, you know, trigger warning right now, but these are designed to make you think Israel is like a manly man. You know, I don't want to use the term rape, but it's really, these are very rapey terms they're using. And it's disgusting, but also it's, in its disgusting way, it's meant to give you, the United States or Israelis, or those who are act like they support this stuff. It's designed to make you feel like you're winning. You know, we're getting them back. We're pushing deeper. We're penetrating deep into Gaza. We're digging. We're pushing deeper. It's disgusting. And yeah, someone in the chat, James in the chat, is mentioning Bernays and Freud. Bernays was his nephew. Would have a lot to say about this stuff. Basically, Bernays took Freud's analysis of the human mind and how it works. And Freud was wrong about a lot of things, but he was also right about a lot of things. And he was right about how we insert sex into everything, or a lot. And Bernays realized that you could take those thoughts of sex and use them to manipulate people. And one of his first campaign, one of Bernays' first, or maybe his first real successful campaigns, was recommending or advising to a cigarette company that the way to get women smoking, because women didn't really want to be smoking in the early 1900s, it was considered not ladylike, and to basically put ads that would make people make women think that it was like their penis, like we have a penis too now, so we can be strong and have our phallic symbol. And so there were ads and video, and you know, the early days of video, but ads really of women with their cigarettes in like a garter thing around their thigh, kind of bringing to mind a female penis. And that's what Bernays came up with, that women would think to themselves, yeah, I want to be strong like the men are. They're walking around smoking. Why do they get to smoke and I can't? Because I'm not ladylike. Well, what if I were strong like them? And so it was meant to bring to mind the penis. Anyway, getting way off track here, but Bernays was powerful, and also, if you were to create a top 10 list of people who destroyed all of the human life, I'd put him on that list. I'd put him up there. Now, here's the thing, though. I don't know that it's like, even if Bernays had never existed and Freud had never existed, I think we would have gotten there eventually. It's not. I don't think it never would have happened. Anyway, here's Washington Post. Israeli tanks penetrate deeper into Gaza as Hamas hostage video emerges. So this is reminding you that Hamas has hostages. By the way, Israel does not care about those hostages. They are hoping and aiming, so far it seems, to murder all of those hostages while they murder everyone else around them. And again, I brought to you in a recent live stream that's called the Hannibal Directive, and Israel has shown again and again that when a hostage of theirs is taken, even this goes back to before October 7th, their game plan is murder the hostage and everyone around them. And they've shown that is how they behave. So, all right. So there was a brief list. And again, that took me, how long did that take me to find all of those headlines with those crazy euphemisms? About 3 minutes. You go to CNN or you go to New York Times, you go to any of these, and they will instantly fill you with euphemisms and bullshit to try and avoid telling you the truth about what is going on there, even though so many of us can see it with our own eyes. It's front and center. It's punching us in the face that this is murder and ethnic cleansing and genocide and horrific, and that children should not be bombed no matter what happened to you. So I'll go back to the question that I also heard my friend Abby Martin asking. How many children have to die for Israel to say we did it? But as I just brought you a moment ago, that's not their end goal. Yes, is to kill as many as possible, but it's also to just clear Gaza, just get everyone out of Gaza, push Palestinians into Egypt, into tent cities. Okay, the rest of this live stream, which will be wrapping up at 3:45 because I started early. I started at 2:45. But the rest of this live stream will be at rumble.com/leecamp. Rumble.com/leecamp and my locals page. If you think you've gotten 38 cents out of this episode at all, please become a member at leecamp.net. It's 38 cents an episode, $6 a month. And you get tons of free stuff. You get free segments. You get members only segments. You also get my book, Dangerous Ideas. You get that ebook for free when you sign up. And but join me over at rumble.com/leecamp. It's free to watch over there. Here, I'll for the lazy folks, I'll throw in the link here. There you go. Join me over there. And please, when you get over there, hit follow and hit the bell icon. Okay. Give me 1 second to clear away all the riffraff. I'm kidding. I love you. I love you all. Even if you don't want to go to Rumble, I still love you. No, I don't actually. No, I do.